Hello, this is Safari Catch Up, your speedy, punchy look at the last day in the wilds of Africa.
How beautiful is the light on the water there with the hippos. These hippos are very obliging. They're always in this little section of the dam, which makes viewing them just lovely. We can get quite low here and almost not quite at eye level with them, but almost eye level with the hippos, which is really lovely. Can hear all the birds starting to wake up now. We've got the red-eyed dove calling in the background. Some bulbuls. There's nothing quite like sitting at a still body of water, though, to start your day and just listening to the huffing and puffing of the hippos. It really is quite an incredible start to the day. I can recommend it to any of you that might be tempted to come to Africa. This is a wonderful way to start your day.
And how lovely was that? That's great vocalization from that particular crane rather. And apparently the males tend to vocalize more than the females. And from the village I come from, we call them oh ho, oh ho. If you heard that call clearly, that is what we call them in my local language. Apparently, these two birds here don't show a lot of sexual dimorphism. And the slight difference, we have always thought the male could be slightly bit larger in size than the female, slightly bit larger, but if you look at them from a distance, even from where we are, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. And then we think the water you see there, just below the head or the base of the beak, it could be slightly bit bright in the male than the female. Otherwise, they do not display great sexual dimorphism between the two of them.
Wow, it's such a beautiful noise. It's such a deep noise. When that noise travels far, that's a male on the left and a female on the right. The stuff, yeah, it's quite an interesting call, that. As well, in Afrikaans, they call it a bromvoël. So because they brom, they make that noise. I don't know what they call it in English. I don't know how you can translate brom into English. Hoot. Hooting.
The buffalo are chasing these lions. This happened to the Black Rock Pride the other day as well. Look at them. Oh my goodness, it's like a stampede. So listen to them as they come closer. Ooh, listen to the buffalo. So this is Resurrection Bush, and you might be wondering why I'm so excited about this plant. It doesn't look like much. It's all dried and shriveled up and pretty kind of dead looking. Now, as the name suggests, you might have an inkling as to why it's so special. Resurrection Bush. In Zulu, it's called uvukafile, which means waking after the dead, so similar to resurrection. And this is the most incredible plant. It looks completely dead. There's absolutely no sign of any life. It's brittle. It would snap easily if I tried to break it. It honestly looks like a plant that has died. It's typically found growing on these very rocky areas where there isn't much moisture. And because of that, it has the most amazing ability. So when water arrives, this dead-looking plant springs to life, and within a few hours, it completely transforms from looking totally dead. If this was in my garden, I would uproot it and throw it on the compost heap. I would think that it was dead. But this will come to life. It will literally spring back to life. It has the ability to absorb water and become a green, vibrant plant.
We got a hammerkop that is standing on the edge of the water here, and I think this hammerkop is not hunting at the moment. If it is hunting, it'll be pretty much wading in the water. Otherwise, it'll be going into the water and shuffling its legs one at a time, trying to spook out any frogs that's going to be lying in here. There is frogs for sure, frogs and toads. We just heard them going crazy now. Unfortunately they've stopped, but let's see, maybe we get to hear them very shortly again. Oh, listen, looks like they're busy mating. It's a couple on a honeymoon. That's nice. So we're going to get many more of this in the next few months coming up. So as I said, especially with the rain and it on its way, it's going to be fantastic.
Not sure where the females are. And this is a Masai ostrich at his best, because if you look even on his back below the tail, you can see how the extension of the pinkness. Normally we see it on the legs and the neck, but now if you see on his ano area and very raised back feathers, not sure for what reason, maybe it's part of display, I would say. It's long since I saw an ostrich putting up the back feathers like that. You've seen when the hyenas want to intimidate lions, say on a carcass, that's what the hyenas will do. They'll have like the tails act on an angle from the very base. I have not seen a male ostrich before. There's always a first in life, and in my many years here in the bush, I'm seeing one that has the back white feathers in a particular angle. Maybe he's at his very best, and chances are he's looking for girls out there.
and we have found our clan of hyena. There, we're sitting with 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 7 individuals here right now. The other day we were sitting with, there was at least 14 or 15 hyena at this little bend. We're going to call this hyena bend because every time we come here, if there's not hyena right on the side of the road, then if we go just 100 or 200 meters down the road, then you find hyena. And interesting, just now, this happened the other day. They get up, go to a puddle, and while they're urinating in the puddle, they'll drink from the exact same puddle, and then they'll lie down in the puddle again, and then move off, and then someone else will come and do the exact same thing. I don't understand hyena. Like, how can you be drinking? Drinking from the puddle that you oh no. Yeah. Unexplainable. Hey, hyenas. Oh, this one closest to us has a bit of a injury on his nose, bit of a nick on its nose there. Hey, look at your nose.
And I've come to what I've been calling mud pool. I've not been here for about 2 months, and you might think there are only those 2 or 3 hippos you see there, but you got about 20, 30 of them inside this very small area. I'm imagining this is a whole colony, and this is their spot. Ben, you'll be surprised. Currently, what I'm seeing, Ben, they're all standing up. And I'm sure, you know, Ben, hippos cannot float. Hippos cannot swim. It's a very shallow water point they're in. But as it continues to get lower, they might start, you know, lying on top of each other. The other option for them will be looking for more permanent water and enough water habitat to keep them going. Otherwise, it's not looking very good for them in this very small area. I would imagine the closer they are, they're going to raise, you know, their body temperatures, which also that is not what they want. One of the reasons of remaining in water is to cool off. So being so close to each other may not help.
So we're just back with our lions. They're busy mating. Just listening to our lions mating. Sometimes it can get quite aggressive. The male does bite the female on the back of her neck there, and then once they finish their mating ritual, then the female rolls over onto her back. So have a look on her chest there. This female's got a bit of a gouge out of her chest. Oh, she's got a few little injuries on her chest. So the gestation period of lions is about 100 to 110 days, so that's about 3.5 months. And it's so interesting how predators have a much shorter gestation period than their prey species, and that's because, especially if it's individuals like, for example, Nyaseku, who is on her own, they need to be able to hunt.
She just made a frog. It's a frog. She just made a hunt right now. And now she just bring it down. It's a frog. Yes, you're right, Marcel. Peace to ya. Very happy to hear you are still with us. Peace to ya. And you're saying, wow, stunning. Because when she flew away from where we were, I was telling myself most likely she's going to hunt. And true to the word, she went, hunted, caught herself a frog. And either now she's trying to subdue it. And she never came back to the same stick or reed she was on, and chose to go to a different stick, which I think is much firm and more solid for her, either to tear apart this particular frog Not always kingfishers, will hunt fish, but many times they'll eat different invertebrates, frogs, insects, butterflies, bees they'll catch. She's still dealing with it, but I'm sure by now it's dead. So she has to break it fast into smaller bits for her to swallow it, and I think she has won. Very well done.
It's quite a large herd, my goodness. There's lots, yes, there is lots of wildebeest. So hopefully the numbers will start accumulating and we'll have a big crossing tomorrow. But the river's quite close by, so I hope they don't cross before tomorrow. That would not be ideal. Just love this area. It's so beautiful being down here. So Pinnakin, no, in actual fact it's opposite. So the migration season is actually finished. These wildebeest and zebra I think are just confused. So they've come back to the Masai Mara. So generally the migration season finishes in October. That's when the wildebeest have already crossed from the Masai Mara in Kenya over to the Serengeti in Tanzania. But I think this is just maybe a tail end of wildebeest that either haven't crossed yet, or there's quite a lot of zebra and wildebeest that have crossed back onto the Kenyan side of the river because maybe there's a lot more grass. Maybe the grass is greener on the Kenyan side, but generally they would normally be in Serengeti by now, and that's where they normally give birth, the wildebeest, during January to April.
We have managed to find Queen again, everybody. She's come up onto the airstrip at Mabula, and she seems to have found something that she likes the smell of. Either that or she's got an itchy neck and she's scratching herself, but she's kind of been rubbing her neck in the grass there a bit. Jason, it depends on the reserve and how many, how big the reserve is and how many cheetah are already on the reserve. So it's not the same from one reserve to another. But I can't say that there's a specific time frame because it really does depend on, let's say it was Queen. If she's released here, is there another cheetah that is established? If so, Queen's going to spend some time, moving around, trying to see if there's areas where that cheetah scent isn't. And that then might be the area that she decides to establish her territory in. If she can't find any scent, then she'll kind of use the whole area. So it really is very dependent on the reserve where the cheetahs get released.
Looks like Kuchava has been sitting up here for a little bit now. I don't know. She keeps on looking straight east into that block. I don't know what she's picking up on. From like a almost complete sleep to wide awake and alert. And that's what I love about a leopard. Oh. And someone was saying she was looking more like a mom than actually her grandmother. I don't know. I think Karula. She looks a lot like Karula, her grandmother, compared to Tandi, her mom. Just jumped on top of this fallen over tree.
Crossing north.
You can see she's just looking through at the drainage line. So where she's looking into now is exactly where she was born 11 years ago. Over 11 years ago, just maybe about 50, 60 meters from here. She was born in this drainage line. Exactly where she's heading to now.
We do have some ellies, and this little group of them have been munching away on, I think Mom pushed over a tree here, and they've been getting out some of the roots and bits of bark, and it's been so great to see them so relaxed doing their thing. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Wow. Getting some roots out. Did she just stick it between her tusk and her trunk? She did, didn't she? It was just dangling there. Yeah, canine girl, this is... I think the one trumpeted at Mom, saying, hey, I'm here. Don't reverse into me.
And then we've got a nice elephant bull that is enjoying all the round leaf teak branches that's shooting out from the ground. You're going to see he's going to curl it around and try and snap it off. There we go. Big boy this. A nice big male elephant. Always nice to have them. We've been very scarce with elephants in the northern Sabi Sands for the last few weeks, several weeks almost. Nice to have this big boy. Very, very relaxed at the moment, as you can see. He's just really enjoying all the little bit of food that he can get hold of. But it's also now the nice time of the year, the rain that's coming through. There's a lot of nice green leaves around. The grass is starting to turn as well. That is going to be perfect for him. Watch how he uses that trunk. Yo. Just pulls it out like you're pulling spaghetti out of a packet. Oh, well, we just had this nice terrapin on the road, and this terrapin, not a tortoise, a terrapin, is looking for some fresh water somewhere else. So they pretty much stay in dams, pans, puddles, rivers. But it's slowly moving off now. And quite a big one as well. And sometimes on those very rainy days like this, they're clever. They'll try and maybe move from one dam to the next dam by actually using all these little puddles so they don't stay dry for too long. Animal Angel, yes. Apparently there has been cases of especially giraffe being so tall has been struck by lightning. That is the case, and it has been reported. But clearly this terrapin won't get struck by lightning. I think it's like one of the lowest animals around here. So I'm sure this terrapin is safe. Almost looks like a war helmet from World War II that's moving in the grass. And the carapace is very, very hard as well.
And there are, I think, 2 young male nyalas. The one is just moving there, the other one's just to the left. I'm hoping that he comes out a little bit further, but you can see those little horns emerging on top of the head, and also a little bit of darker fur that's coming on the back, and eventually all of that sort of orangey brown that you see there, barring what's on his legs, will actually turn darker brown. Canine girl, I know it will be fantastic to see that the grass is going to totally transform. Oh, there's one coming out ahead of us here, Vivo. There we go, there's a female. I think they're all going to follow eventually, which is quite nice. So a little group of them. here that are actually quite relaxed, which is very nice to see. There's another female that's actually in the open, nibbling away. The one is about to cross the road. Another female. And there's a young male. There's another one coming. That was the other female. She's quite a lot lighter, I must say.
Oh, we got our friend from the other day, that red-crested Quran that came right up to us and was busy feeding on the termites. And he's at the same junction again today. He's actually at this junction every single day. So it just shows you territorial and very small territory, because I can hear other ones calling in the background. I'm just hoping that this guy is going to start calling as well. But he looks very wet. He looks miserable. I think we're all soaking wet this afternoon, mister. Yeah, animal lover, you definitely will. Before he flies, what he'll do, he'll fluff his feathers out and try and shake the water off. And then he'll be able to fly. Look, if there's danger around a leopard or a serval or caracal, some form of danger, it's not going to wait there and fluff the feathers up, and it's just going to use all its effort to start flying, and it'll fly, no problem. Are you going to come? Where are you going now? Don't go behind there.
Yes, everybody, we do have an elephant. In fact, he is a very big elephant bull that is here just next to the road, and you can see his tusks are sticking out really nicely. With all the rain, they've been cleaned off, and he's looking quite dark as well because of the water that's on him. The back has been for a swim. I found it very peaceful. I mean, it's almost always peaceful with elephants, but as it goes into the evening, I do find it very calming. Dylan, yes, so interesting, an elephant's spine. The vertebrae actually have bones that point upwards as well. And so the way that it's shaped also has means that is part of why we see that spine rising like that. I feel like he has found his spot for the night.
The wilds of Africa are true inspiration. We hope this episode of Safari Catch Up has inspired you. We'll see you next time.